Okay, all right, here we are. So, everybody, thank you so much for joining us for this installment of Leading With. Today, our guest is Rikki Waite. Most of you know her as the owner and entrepreneur behind My Grandma's Empanadas, but Rikki's actually got a really cool story and has not always been in the restaurant business. So, you guys are going to get to learn about that as she talks today about leading with passion. So, Rikki, I want to just kind of start off with how leading with passion has shaped the person you are today.
Okay. Um, well, it's made me who I am today. Honestly, the strong woman that I am. I mean, everything um, that has led me here was through the passion that I have. Passion is just something that you're strongly interested in. I'm strongly interested in so many things, and it's put me on the path of being a restaurateur, which I never thought I would be.
Yeah. So, speaking of that, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Okay, so when I was a kid, well, I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always been trying to make that money, a hustler, making Christmas ornaments and selling them door to door, mowing people's lawns. I've always really, just been interested in making money. But when I was a little young, or when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a politician. Yep. I wanted to be a politician. But then I realized the changes I want to make, I probably would never see happen. And so I decided to move on to something I felt more interested in, like forensic pathology. But then the thought and sight of death every day just made me sad. And I said, oh, I can't do that. So then what? And math has always been my passion. So I decided to just kind of go full force into math and see where that would bring me. So.
Yeah, so let's talk about just sort of your educational path that led you there, and then tell us a little bit about your first job.
My first job.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I am a forever student. I mean, I'm always enrolled in college, taking some course. But I really loved math and tutoring math through college, calculus, statistics, you name it. I just loved it so much. But yeah, again, I didn't want to become an actuary or sit in an office all day and just crunch numbers. It just wasn't me. And even though that's something that I'm good at, that it just it wasn't it wasn't my passion to sit inside of an office. I want to be able to work with numbers, and in my lifestyle now, I get to do that. But I didn't want it to be my everyday, all day life. So I decided, oh, let me get in the minds of people and do psychology. So, I mean, I've kind of just dabbled in everything, and that's what I actually got my degree in. But, I'm not a psychologist, and I have no desire to really even go that route. I'll probably go back to school and continue education in business or something. You can always learn. You can always learn.
Absolutely. So, I know you've had experience in aerospace and you've had an interesting career, making some shifts and pivots along the way. So, give us just kind of an overview of what your professional life has looked like.
Okay. Professional life. Um, well, you asked me what my first job was. I was a telemarketer. I was a telemarketer, so I guess I've always been
Really?
a salesperson. Yeah, I mean, I was 16 years old selling Olin Mills photos. Calling during dinner time and getting yelled at all the time. But I was really good at it. And here's a 16-year-old girl making this huge commission every week. Being the top salesperson, and I really liked it. I really did. I loved those commission checks. I mean, I was just, all about how much could I make, oh, I can just do two more calls. But I really loved it. But they closed down. And so I went on to another job, actually in a restaurant. And I worked there for 2 days. And I went home and I told my mom, I hate it. It is so hard. That is not the life for me. I'll never work in a restaurant ever again for the rest of my life. But you see where I am now. It's funny, never say never, right?
Right.
But through college, I did. I did work in the service industry, through college, but then I had kind of reached my ceiling there, and I had a child, and I was a single mom, and so she was a big driving force for me to just, I wanted more. I wanted a higher ceiling. I wanted insurance benefits for her, and 401ks and all of that. So I got into software. And I became a computer programmer. I guess my math background, it did really well with that. And I got the attention of one of the programmers there who actually had his own side business. And we teamed up, and he couldn't talk to people. He is a great programmer and a lot of wonderful things, but a people person is not one of them. And so he needed someone to kind of complete his team. And he had a sports software product. And, I loved it. I loved everything about this program and what I was doing. And I was passionate about the people and the sports and assigning all of those referees to different games. And it was just something that I thought was so neat. And I got to be kind of not the face of the company because it's online, but more the voice, because I did a lot of video tutorials, things like that. And we just grew the company out of control. He just needed someone like me, someone in sales, someone who just wanted so much out of life and out of this product, because that's what I was working in at that moment. I just dove head first, and I gave him my all. Man, and he was very good to me as well. I made a lot of money. I got to work with the genius for many years, and we just created such a wonderful product and other products on top of that. And we were so awesome that someone in Portland, Oregon wanted to buy us. And so we sold. And I thought, well, this is my life now, right? Software. So go on and move to another software company, which I hated, but I made a ton of money, more money than I've ever made, ever dreamt that I would make. But the job was easy, and I hated it. No challenge, nothing. I was using this much of my brain power. And I just felt like, is this it for me? No way. And I'm not a crybaby. I don't really cry much, but I would cry every day before I'd go into that big fancy building in Dallas. And, because I would work remote. I mean, I had this perfect job, working from home, going to Dallas, 1 week a month or so. To most people, they'd say, ooh, dream job.
Yeah.
But I was so unhappy with that. And I really, really just wanted to quit every single day, I just wanted to quit. And I approached my husband about the matter, and he's like, well, who loves their job? Really. I mean, here I am, 50-50 in this marriage. He married a woman that made good money and that paid half of all the bills, and so what do you mean quit? What do you mean? This is a dream. You should be thankful, pick up a hobby, and I totally see where he was coming from, but I just felt like, don't you believe in me? And don't you trust me? I've always made money since I was 10 years old. So I'm going to make money now, just not in this, and not in software, I can't sit cooped up in a office anymore.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So, I think that's interesting because so many people think that the money is where it's all at, and
yeah, I used to think that was my passion.
Yeah, well, and even starting out, and so I guess that I think is an interesting pivot for us to discuss. So what changed in you, and how did your passion realign?
So I knew I was unhappy. I knew it. I didn't care. I had this beautiful home and beautiful garden lights and tiki torches that are so fancy, because I can afford them. I can, it's, everything's supposed to be great, but it just wasn't. And I just knew that I'm not going to live my life so unhappy. I'm not going to. And I believe enough in myself that I just decided to say, listen, you to my husband, you know, you married me. I promise you, I'm going to make something of myself. Just believe in me. And he said, I do. I do. Do what you want. Put in that 2-week notice. And 6 days later, I opened up that farmer's market stand and just sold out every week since then. But, you know, how did I know that I was going to open a farmer's market stand? I think it was, I headed down to the beach. I needed to get away. I was just so unhappy with my job and just being a nobody. I mean, they didn't notice if I came to work or if I didn't, you know, I really felt like just that I wasn't making a difference.
Yeah.
And I want to make a difference. And so I went down and saw my best friend and needed some beach time, a long weekend. And she took me to a farmer's market. She took me to a farmer's market and I see this woman making empanadas. And I thought, wow, look at her making empanadas outside. Like, whoa, that's hard. It's hard to do. So I stood there and I watched her and I admired her and I thought, wow, how cool. She has this long line and everything. I mean, people are here for her empanadas, you know? And I couldn't believe it. And I thought, well, I bought a few. And as I'm walking down the farmer's market, I thought, well, this just is not my grandma's empanada, you know? It's just not my grandma's empanada. So I come home and again, I'm just soul searching, you know, what can I do? What am I going to do with myself? What am I, you know, I'm scared, but I know I don't want to do this. And I took this little paint class. Just like I said, I'm just doing anything to just find my passion, I guess. And so I took this art class with this awesome artist, Micah, down at the Painted Red Door. And he's so brutally honest. And I'm painting. I'm an awful painter. And I'm painting an apple. And he's like, what colors do you see? And I mean, I guess my answer was just very dumb. And he kind of looked at me like, what else do you like to do? Because painting's not your thing, you know? So I was like, you know, I love to cook. I just love to cook. He was like, you know, I'm going to put you in touch with my friend Jody, who runs the farmer's market in town. Maybe you guys could work together. You know, maybe you could do something at the farmer's market. Well, I don't know what made me decide, but I said, you know what? I'm going to give her a call. And funny enough, she really needed a food vendor. She's like, is there anything you can sell with my farmer's food? Like, is there anything you can come out here and make? I was like, you know, I saw a lady making empanadas and I got a great recipe. So let me just pitch a tent in my front yard, invite my family and friends over and see if I can do this thing. And I did, and we did. My mama and I on a camp stove with 2 cast iron skillets, and it was a hit. It was a success. And so I started at the farmer's market the next week after I'd gone down and made some connections with these farmers so that I could, you know, use their beef and use their oil and use their cheese and really get those flavors going with my grandma's recipes. And it was just a hit. It's just a hit.
Well, and I think it's interesting too, Rikki, to look at how your passion shifted, but also that perfect timing of your passion aligning with a purpose and having some, you know, some greater element. So let's loop back to food. So has food always been a passion that maybe was just not realized until later?
So I love food. And again, I thought that was my passion. See, I thought money was my passion until I made a lot of money and realized this is not my passion. And then food, you know, I thought, oh, this is my passion, you know, because I love doing it. And that's what you should do, is something that you just love doing every day. But I've actually realized that my passion is people. My people, it's my community. It's being able to make such a difference in just the, you know, the people around me, being an employer and making a difference in those lives. I mean, yes, I love food and I'm passionate about my family and their recipes and all of that. And, you know, wanting and yearning for something different is how I got the cafe. But food's just not my number one passion. My number one passion is people. And I can't believe that I get to do that every day. You know, I get to interact with people, make a difference in the community, and all while, you know, selling my grandma's empanadas, which is just so heartwarming. And I feel like she's still alive through the smells and through the smiles on people's faces. And it is so rewarding. but it is very hard.
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life.
I can only imagine. So,
Especially
you know, you
with
talked about
COVID.
being able to do it every day. Well, at the farmer's market, that wasn't a daily thing, right? So the leap from farmer's market to deciding, you know what, I'm going to open my own business. I'm going to go in this thing. Walk us
Okay,
through that journey. What was going on in your head?
I did not want a restaurant. I still didn't want a restaurant. You know, I worked in the service industry in high school, or not high school. I said I would never do that again. But in college, I did for a bit, and I just wasn't interested in everything that the restaurant carries with you. There's just so much responsibility and, you know, all the health inspections and those kind of things. I just really wasn't interested in having my restaurant, having to please people all the time and having to, you know, kind of kiss butt about things all the time. I really wasn't too interested in that. I loved making my money at the farmer's market. I started taking more classes over at the college, you know. Um, and I was just really content with that. But the market, my husband, he would come and he would set up my tent on his lunch break. And after work at 6, he would come and help me take the tent down. Well, it got to the point where on the very, one of the very last markets I worked, he said, all right, you need a restaurant. There was a line when we got there, okay? We still needed a
Nice.
health inspection. We still had to set up, cook the food. They're like, it's okay, we're just gonna go ahead and place an order now. We'll be back in a little bit, we'll pick them up. And, you know, so we had a line from the minute he got there to set the tent up. And then, you know, 6.5 hours later, we still have a line when he
Yeah.
gets there. And he's like, you know, you really need a restaurant. You really do. And then the health inspectors, they would come to me and say, you know, why don't you have a restaurant? You should have a restaurant. I thought, just so much work. But something inside me said, just go for it. You know, if people like empanadas on Thursdays, maybe they'll like them on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday too. So I just got this wild hair and I purchased this little teeny tiny, kind of like a shed. And all I could picture was the cutest little shed, you know, flipping empanadas and just having a line and, you know, that an outdoor eatery. I got some land on Second and Young. It was kind of hidden. I wanted to be that little hidden gem that only the locals know about, you know.
I didn't
And
even know this part. This is awesome.
oh yeah, so I got this little building and I'm so excited about this building and I would just go sit on my land. I just sit there and like, ooh, what am I gonna do? Where am I gonna put what? And I was so excited. But I had so many problems getting that building put on Second and Young. All these different permits that I needed, and then the surveyors coming and telling me I needed, you know, a detention pond, which I didn't even know what that was. I thought it was a retention pond, but slightly different. And just all of the things that they wanted me to do for this little outdoor eatery. And then I thought, oh, all the bugs and how hot it is, and nobody can even eat outside now, and it's going to smell. And oh gosh, just forget it, you know. And this is going to cost me, you know, $75,000 to get up and running. And, you know, just debt. That's all I saw was just debt. And I just kept hitting brick wall after brick wall after brick wall, and I was just fed up with it. And, you know, I always pray, and I just prayed about it. Well, maybe 2 weeks later at the market, this guy comes up and he's like, hey, I'm looking for Rikki. He's like, I'm Rikki. I'm looking for Rikki. I thought, well, this is weird. This is strange. He's like, I'm here to buy your property. Heard you've been having some problems moving it. I want to take it off your hands. It's like, I would love that. Thanks. Because it was just, you know, I felt guilty for spending all that money on that. And anyway, met him at the bank. He gave me the money for it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start actually looking for a spot that was a restaurant in the past. So I came to this place. I went to many of them, but they were so expensive. I thought that I had to sell 1,500 empanadas just to pay rent. 1,500 empanadas. I got a fork to pay the rent, only the rent. It's not even a straw or a lid or the popcorn bag it goes in, you know. It just was, it was just so expensive. And then I got to this dump and I was like, this place is so disgusting. We need a face mask to get in the joint. You know, it smelled like death. In fact, someone did die on the front steps at one point. This was such a bad area. And that was the only thing that I found charming about it, was the area. I really wanted, I'm an Air Force brat. So when I moved to Warner Robins, 247 was the first road I came down.
Yeah.
And I came from a real big city, and I was just kind of like, oh, this is where I'm moving. Like, but Warner Robins is so cool, and we have a lot of character. And I wanted to show that right here where all the passerbyers go,
Yeah.
and I wanted to clean this area up because we all know that it hasn't been the best area, and let's clean it up. So my husband came in and he saw this diamond in a rough. I mean, he just is so amazing. And he was like, look, I'll pull all this wood paneling down. I'll just strip the floors and polish them up. Guys, he's a software engineer, okay? Like, really? And then all the bricks fall and everything. Now he's a mason and a painter and an electrician and a plumber. No, we hired out for an electrician, but the important stuff you hire out for. But really, we just scraped this place clean. We got the coolest deal on it because it was in such rough condition. And we just turned it in to the most awesome place in Warner Robins. We brought it back to life. And it's so neat being the oldest commercial building and having that history, but it's so fun and clean and nice. And oh, I love it. I couldn't have found a better spot, but I did cry the first time I came in.
Wow. Well, I totally agree. I don't think there could be a better spot for you. And I think the part of what inspires me so much in when we visit is just how it creates a feeling when you walk in the door, both from the building, the different combination of people that are there, but then your people. So talk to us a little bit about your team and how you assembled them, and really how you work to round out people who have different strengths than you do.
Yes. Okay. Yes, because that's a good question. So everybody's not going to be me, and perfection will kill the small business. So I had to remember that, that everyone's not going to do it exactly like I'm going to do it, but let's find their strengths. Let's find what they are good at. And then I try to find jobs for them to do, in their realm. But my team, it's all about my people to me, because my people, when they're happy, then my customers are happy, and they can feel it when they walk in that everyone is so happy. And I just love taking care of them, whether it's going and letting them get their hair done and on the house, or getting a massage, just saying, hey, leave early, we booked you a massage, go have a great day. Getting you a company car. You want a company car? We're going to get you one because you're worth it, because without you, I wouldn't have this cafe, because I'm not just a cook. I'm not just a chef. I'm not just a culinary artist. I am also the restaurant owner, which I have to go out and do things if we want to make a difference in our community. We have to meet these people, Middle Georgia Community Action Agency, and all of our neighbors right here. And I couldn't do that if I was cooped up in the kitchen. So I had to share my recipes, which is very hard to do, but I trust her. And it's such a hard job that I knew I needed a team. I really needed a team, because we're trying to bring back the art to the culinary world. And what that entails is actually, hand grinding the chicken and juicing the onions and making sofrito. So, hand grinding our yuca and corn, those things take 10 hours, and it's not for everybody. And I'm not for everybody, because I don't settle for mediocre. We are an exceptional place. We might not be perfect, but we're going to be exceptional. We are not mediocre. And so I don't expect everybody to fit into my team. Honestly, only about 1 out of 20 make it for me, and I understand that this job is not the same as my software company, where we were working with all of these software engineers who are getting paid these big, huge bucks, and, they have to come to work because this is life and they have bills, right? So they have to come. Mine is more of like a stopover for people. There may be on their summer break from college, or maybe their kids are in school and they just want something to do, just while school's in session. I understand that this is not everybody's life. So I just appreciate, and I'm so thankful for every day and every minute that they give to me.
Yeah.
So.
That's very cool. Well, and you mentioned, I know for you, ingredients are everything, and the process is ultimately important. So talk to us about, your local sourcing for your meat and your veggies and your oil and all of the things that go into making my grandma's empanadas what they are and what we all love.
Okay, yeah, there's so much that goes on. I mean, so much that goes on in every single little empanada. I wish I could make like this time-lapse video of everything that goes on into making one empanada. I mean, from the sunflowers that are growing to the cattle that are grazing, and the peppers that are growing for us right now. My when I started at the farmers market, I didn't know that the farmers were going to become so important to me. I mean, now I live on my own 33-acre farm because I just admire them so much. I just love every bit about it. They're the foundation of America for sure. And they work so hard, and they have their own craft, and they are their own artisan. And that's what I want people to see and appreciate in me, is my artistry. So I started taking notice of other people's, and if I have this amazing oil farmer right here in Middle Georgia, why wouldn't I use him? I mean, let's keep that money right here in our local community. We have a choice on where we spend our money. I can just make the price higher if I have to make the price higher, but let's not skimp out on our ingredients, or just go with something that's cheaper. Everybody can go everywhere else to get whatever is the cheapest. Okay, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for those real artisans. And I'm so thankful that I started at the farmers market, where I had the opportunity to meet these people and learn all about their art, and now to carry it on and be their biggest clients, and to continue to still support them through this COVID-19 pandemic that we're in. But every single week we have continued to support our farmers. So they mean the world to me, and you can taste the difference in their products because they don't settle for mediocre either. Each of their products are excellent.
And I think that's so important. So, I mean, just listening to you, it's easy to hear and to see your passion. What advice would you give for people who maybe don't know if they found their passion yet?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't think that I found all of my passions yet either. I think that that's something that we continue to do every day through our life. I feel like to find our passion, we should think about, what is it that I just love doing, that time just flies by, that I don't even have to get paid to do this, that every day is the same day. It's a Monday or it's a Saturday. It's all the same because it's all awesome, so I would say find that. It doesn't have to just be a hobby. It doesn't have to just be a hobby. There's money to be made in everybody's hobby, so.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's important too. What I'm taking away from this is you're a seeker, right? You look for those opportunities and those things that you make yourself available to things to jump out to you. Because I think for many of us, getting in the monotony of, the routine of the daily school schedule for the kids, and we go to work and we do this and we come home, we eat dinner, whatever, we can sort of become robotic in the way that we live our lives. And being intentional about being aware of opportunities and seeking out opportunities to grow yourself is a lot of what I'm hearing, and a lot of what really stands out in your story. So who have been your mentors through this? Mentorship is so important. And so who do you look up to?
Oh, who'd I look? Oh, well, number one, I look up to my mom. I mean, I am blessed to have just the best mom. She was such a hard worker, single mom, 4 kids, in the Air Force, but would get second and third jobs, and then I remember she had gotten this third job just during Christmas. She was a master sergeant in the Air Force, but she was working as a server during Christmas so that we could all have gifts. And she would get home and she would split her tips with me and my brother so that we could buy each other Christmas gifts. And I feel like I just learned my generosity maybe through her. My drive really came from her. I also, I've always been in kind of a competition with my husband, and he is so uber successful that I too, I want to be uber successful. but following the path that I want to follow. He's such a smart man, and he's mentored me a lot through business. But then just someone in the public eye, Marcus Lemonis, the prophet. Oh, people, process, product, that all equals profit. Care about your people, care about the process, and care about that product, and everybody will take notice.
Yeah, for sure. So your success, your passion, your purpose fulfillment is all evident in everything that we hear. Talk to us about what it was like through the eyes of a small business owner when COVID-19 hit the scene in our community.
Wow, it is scary, so scary. Let me tell you, I'm really thankful for my beginnings at the market, because that money allowed me to kind of put it into this business and grow it, what they call maybe organically, without any loans. I don't have any lenders. So when this happened, I didn't have to worry so much about, oh gosh, I have this huge bank loan to pay back. But I do have my people that I care so much about. They take care of themselves. They have homes, they have cars, they have children. They need their job. And I was very scared. I mean, all of a sudden sales are down. I mean, one week they were down like 80%, 80%. And so it's like, what am I gonna do? Well, you know what you do is you work really, really hard. I worked really hard through this pandemic. I worked 12 to 13-hour days every single day for 40 days straight. So I don't recommend that to anybody.
No.
And I always tell my girls, that work for me, I never want to burn you out. You have to have a break. They're like, no, I can work Saturday. Nope, you need a break. You work 5 days in a row. You need a break. And I'm going to need a break pretty soon. I'll tell you that. But all I knew was, I'm going to take care of my people through this. We're going to work our butts off. We're going to do whatever we can. We're going to be innovative through this process. Okay. We might not have a dining room, but we have other things. We have a parking lot that we can invite our farmers to. We have everything's out of stock at the grocery store. Well, we have farmers that have all of those things. So come on, drive through, come and get them, be innovative, bring people in any sort of way. Team up, partner with people to do first responder meals and different things, whatever we could do to keep those doors open, make that sale, pay our people. That's all I cared about. And we made it. We survived. We're back up. We're down about, 15% still, but hey, I'm cool with that. That is fantastic given the circumstances. The hardest part that I'm having right now, just true life, real life, is a lot of people don't want to come back to work.
Yeah.
So just whenever I feel like, oh, maybe I can get that break and not work, 12 hours a day, 3 people don't show up. So who does that fall on? Falls on that owner,
Absolutely.
So,
well, and that's one of the challenges as a leader in taking care of your people, making that intentionality. And it's a lot easier to say than to do, to take care of yourself and to stop. I know, and my team on the call knows from firsthand experience, when I go too long and too hard without stopping, my body will stop me. Last Monday, I just had a day. I'd been fighting a sinus infection, and eventually I was just flat. Like it was not going to happen. But it is, everything rests on your shoulders, and you want to, just push through. But I think everybody needs a break. So when we talk through the things, and you listed off a lot of different ways that you've pivoted and you've been innovative in pursuing that passion, in making it come to fruition so you could take care of those people. Is there anything that you're doing now that either you said you'd never do or you'd never try, or some new, some shining light in all of this, something that has emerged that you're like, yeah, that we never would have discovered that about ourselves had we not gone through this trial?
Yeah, I've learned not to put my people in categories, because, you're not just front of the house, or you're not just back of the house, but we can tap into other talents that they have. Trying to find that ray of light there, but realizing that my team is better than I thought. They just jump in there, and when the going gets tough, the tough get going, and everybody really worked together as a team. So I know that we'll come out of this so much stronger. Yes, there are a few that we've had to, lose. That's okay. We'll rebuild.
Yeah.
Rebuilding year.
Well, and that's exciting. A renaissance is always more exciting than the initial build, right? Because you know where you've come from, and you have a greater appreciation for the things that you've gone through. And I do think that fuels your passion for being successful, for coming back stronger. So I guess in wrapping up our time, and as we get the class back on, what does the future hold for you and for My Grandma's Empanadas?
Ooh, my future. Well, I left this little tidbit out when you asked me what I really wanted to be when I was little. I would always tell my mom, I want to be a philanthropist. I want to be a philanthropist. She said, well, you'll have to be rich to be a philanthropist. I said, well, then I'll be rich so that I can be a philanthropist. So maybe, that's what my future holds, is just continue to try to become successful in different ways, because success does not just mean money to me, but I would love to be a philanthropist, to give to my community like I try to do now, but even in bigger ways, so there's no telling.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Rikki, thank you so much. We're going to ask the class to come back on and turn their cameras on. And then guys, if we can have 2 or 3 questions, those of you who would like to ask Rikki, and if we see that we have more than that, we'll take more. But if you would like to ask Rikki a question or have something you want to share, if you will unmute yourself so that we can see that you're unmuted and that you want to ask something, we'll start calling on you guys. So y'all keep coming back in. Everybody's muted unless you've got a question or something you want to say. And you're all pulling up here. Okay, there's more of you. Yeah, there's a few more that are not showing. All right, so who's got a question? Chris, you got a question? I know you wanted to place an order for a cake. I saw that.
Yeah, I need to get over there. No, I didn't have a question offhand, but not to say I won't over the next few minutes.
Okay, very cool. Who else might have a question for us? Y'all are not a shy bunch, so.
I probably answered them all.
You did really well in hitting everything. Michelle, do you have anything you'd like to ask or share?
No, I just love your story, Rikki. I think it's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of nuggets for all of us in what you shared. So anybody have anything that you want to know more about, or just something?
I have a question.
Okay, Candace.
Okay. Do you feel like your restaurant will always be a lunchtime spot, or do you feel like you may ever extend your hours? I'm just kind of curious about that.
Well, not right now, because my family is so important to me, and I have 2 children, 18 and 15, and I'm an athlete mom, so I do a lot of travel. My daughter's a gymnast, and she's about to leave to college, and we're working 12 and 13-hour days, and that's just to provide lunch from 10 to 2. So I can't imagine. When I did open for breakfast, I was getting here at 3:30 in the morning, leaving at about midnight. And so for right now, I just love my husband and my children so much, and I just want to hold them real tight while I can. And then, if we can grow into the frozen food section maybe somewhere, or, maybe we can franchise this sucker. But as for right now, we do private dinners.
Yeah.
Okay, understandable. We appreciate your service. I was just kind of curious.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anybody else with a question for Rikki before we let her head on to her next thing for the day? Rikki, what's next for today? What else you got on the lineup?
Well, I have a farm, so I'm heading out to mow probably about 10 acres. So we'll go, that's where I'm headed. We're actually redoing our farmhouse, so we're always building something or doing something. So that's where I'm heading.
Well, Rikki, thank you so much.
Hey, I got a quick.
Chris has one. There we go.
So I'm new to Warner Robins, and when I started, one of my employees said, "Hey, I'm going to bring in some of my grandma's empanadas." And I thought, well, maybe her grandmother's out there making empanadas. I don't know. Here I thought the whole time her grandmother was actually making empanadas, but not realizing it's actually
My grandma.
Yeah. So funny story.
My grandma, they're her recipes, but you know, when you guys come in and you're seeing the grandma behind the bar, that's my mom, and she is a grandma. She has lots and lots of grandkids, so she's here typically, but right now she's having to leave early. That's one of our things we've had to change. With the COVID-19, she comes from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. so she can be out before anybody comes in. So
very cool. Well, Rikki, thank you so much. I mean, you're an
Thanks, guys.
inspiration to so many, and we will share this recording with you after the fact. But thank you for sharing your story. Your passion is evident, and we certainly appreciate you sharing with us today.
Thanks.
All
Thank you.
right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.